Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am A.D. Walker, your pusher, your grower, your motivator. I appreciate you guys for being here and being a part of all that we do. Can you just keep on this chair? It's gonna hurt my booty. All right, so thank you guys for being a part all that we do. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. And let everybody know that the brothers are in the building. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for always contributing and sharing. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning. Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. Make sure you are sharing because sharing is caring. Also, what else is going on? Make sure you're staying connected. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. And today we are discussing living the untriggered lifestyle. Living the untriggered lifestyle, where you learn to make decisions from a more rational place instead of reacting to the triggers that have developed in you based on situations, life, and all that, and then some. So we're gonna dig into that. So again, make sure you are sharing, make sure you're tagging. Good morning. Wow, Wednesday. Wonderful open Wednesday. I don't know. Wow. So make sure you are sharing, make sure you are connecting, tag somebody, copy this broadcast, put it in your Facebook feed, and your what's the other places, inboxes, messenger, text somebody, let everybody know that the brothers are in the building. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for rocking and being a part of all that we do. Because you could be anywhere, but you're rocking with us. All right, so it's late. Let's go and kick this off. We're gonna get started. I want to welcome you to the Brothers of Legacy broadcast, where we are changing our community one conversation at a time, every day.
We are creating a new legacy.
Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come.
A co-op has to start with ownership. But we have a mindset of either I want to make a lot of money or survive. Make a bunch of money or I got to figure out how to survive.
When you have a real bond, when everyone has, we come in with real expectations. Because this is covenant.
The whole point is this, that we as a people, with our money and time, aren't often making this just possible, often vested in the business.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So like I said, today we're discussing living the untriggered lifestyle, where, hey, good morning, Keita, good morning, where we're discussing all things untriggered. and we all know there are things in our life based on past experiences that can trigger an emotion, trigger an old thought, that can affect your present or your present relationships right now. And a lot of times, getting into that space where you're untriggered takes an intentional, conscious effort, not to allow certain things that have happened in the past, based on other situations, trigger you into a space that is unhealthy. Oh snap, all the way from an undisclosed location. Pastor Brian A. McCrory Sr. Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
All right, we're getting a little more fancy. Yesterday, we was doing white and black. Today, we got the blue with the polka dots.
Oh, yeah.
All my podcast people, if you want to see what we're talking about, make sure you check out the YouTube so you can see the fanciness of Pastor Brian A. McCrory. So like I said, today we're talking about the untriggered lifestyle, meaning not allowing old situations or familiar situations to pop up and to put you into a space that's unhealthy. Pushing you into old habits, like we talked about yesterday, the old habits. And I begin to really think about what those off a lot of your consistency are, those triggers. So today I want to kind of delve into how do we get into an untriggered lifestyle where we know the situations, the words that can send us into good morning, Rollins. Yes, indeed. That's my pastor. It's my pastor too, brother. But send us into a unhealthy space. So we know what it is. But it's learning to, what does it say? The Bible says taking thoughts captive. So when those triggers hit, knowing how to respond in a healthy manner, or at least pause. Like, okay, I know I'm feeling this way because of what's happened in the past, because of what I've seen, what they said. How do I respond differently? How do I react in a manner that doesn't destroy what I've worked on, what I've built up? Like we talked about, making permanent decisions on temporary circumstances. And it's funny, that's all part of our maturity. I'm sure pastors made certain, like, why did I react that way? I blew up, I cussed somebody out, if I could have just held my tongue, and those moments. So I want us to kind of delve into that, and I want Pastor to kind of share, maybe he may not get specific, but he said, yes, I'm doing a lot of pausing in my life right now. Right. You definitely have to pause, so you don't fall back into that cycle, because you look at your life, you're like, why do I always end up here? So I kind of want to toss it to the pastor for him to share, he said, first you have to know, right? Exactly, Dr. Rollins said, first you have to know what your triggers are. Delve into some of the things that helped you move forward and begin to live that untriggered lifestyle. So when someone, for lack of a better way, steps to you with something that can shift you out of your space, what are some of your habits that helped you get out? So Richard says, not sure that you can become 100% untriggered. Ooh, true. I've had many triggers due to my mother during my school years. I've depowered a lot of them. There are still a few to depower those, but I think there'll never be a situation in my life where there won't be a trigger. Right. I agree with that. 2 to 3 seconds of silence can change the outcome. Yes. Don't go with the first thought. Don't go with the first. Nugget number 1. Don't go with the first thought. So Pastor, what are some of the things or things that happened in your life that you knew triggered you to do, to react a specific way that now you're not as triggered with that?
I guess I never really had a quick temper.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure. I mean, I think there are different types of triggers. And what I mean by that is the response time from a trigger can be instant.
Right.
But it can also take days to respond.
Right.
You could trigger something that kicks off a pattern of behavior because touches something deep down inside.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about that quick trigger, you know, that short temperament, that lack of temperance, if you would, then I didn't really have a whole lot of that. It takes a lot to get me to
Yeah.
react.
Right. I
Right.
got you.
But I think about, you know, one story is interesting because and Dr. Rollins made a great point. You have to know what your triggers are. But for those who may not understand certain things and why they trigger you, I go back to a story in the scripture that deals with this servant of Caiaphas. If you remember the story about the arrest of Jesus. Remember, Caiaphas had a servant called Malchus, and Malchus was there on the scene when Jesus was arrested.
Okay.
And Simon Peter pulled out the sword
Right.
and cut off the ear of
Right.
the servant of Caiaphas.
Interesting.
That
Right.
was an instant response, and
Yes.
and Peter was deemed a zealous spirit
Right.
for Jesus, but he had a quick trigger.
Right. Right.
But Peter was also the one who denied Jesus.
Right. Right.
Quick trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
quick he did it 3 times before he even realized what he had done.
Right. Right.
Right. So the question in my mind is, you know, what was going through the mind of Peter when he felt it was his responsibility to cut off the ear of a soldier or an officer in the protection of Jesus when Jesus was not coming in violence.
Right.
So
What's up,
his
Opinion?
reaction was opposite of the spirit of the person he was
Right.
protecting. So what was going through his mind,
Right.
right? And then you have to ask. So something. What was Peter's trigger? His trigger was, I got to protect my man,
Right.
right? But Peter lost sight of the purpose of Jesus.
Right.
The purpose of Jesus was not to fight with the sword,
Right.
to fight with the word
Yeah.
and love. But at the same time, and I know I may be going a little deep this morning, but we are talking about triggers. So my question is, what was in the mind of Peter when he cut the ear off,
Right.
in contrast to what was in the mind of Peter when he denied Christ? Because the very
Right.
one he was willing to kill somebody for, he denied even knowing.
Right.
So
Right.
it's almost like there's such a sense of purpose. I believe so strongly in this guy that I'm willing to kill for him.
Right.
But how could you believe so strongly that you're willing to kill,
What you deny.
but then turn around and deny like that
Right.
you even knew him,
Right.
right?
Right.
So like when you think about triggers, triggers can be very complex,
Right.
right? Something that happened to you when you were 8 years old,
Right.
you don't have a reaction until you're 25. Because something happened and it took you all the way back to when you were 8. And
Right.
that's, in response to kind of like, the opposite of what Dr. Rollins was saying. It's great to know your triggers.
Yeah.
So you can fight something that you know, but sometimes you don't even know why you do what you do.
Right.
So what's important is that self-examination again. What moves me? And that takes me back to Psalms 139. Search me, O Lord,
Yeah.
and find those things that make me anxious.
Yeah.
Dr. Rollins, it sounds like you have to identify the source of the yes.
Right. Is it
It's
fear?
Right. What are my
Right.
fears? And if I understand what my fears are, then I know the types of things that will trigger me to
Right.
to run, to retract,
Right.
or even to fight out of fear.
Yeah. I think Rich said, when old thinking appears, I instantly say, not me, replaced with a positive. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think when certain situations happen, and getting to the point of at least recognizing, I think that's a challenge in itself, because either if you are, kind of self-aware about who you are and your temperament, and it could even, when certain situations happen, you just sit like, why am I feeling so angry at this situation? Like it, you just start reasoning, like, in my mind, it doesn't warrant me to be so angry at this. Like, why does this bother me so much? Right, Dr. Ross, insecurities.
What is your? I heard this. This question was asked.
Okay.
What is your immediate reaction when you see a Confederate flag
Right.
on the back of a pickup truck?
Right.
What is your
Right.
immediate? What's the first thing that pops into your mind?
Right. It's good. I'm gonna
Right.
put it out there. What did you guys think when you see a Confederate flag? What's your first thought? I know it's a delay, so we're gonna keep talking a little bit. So Rollins says sometimes it takes an outside view source to help you recognize what your trigger is. Can be them seeing you in action. May take counseling to actually hear yourself process what happened to understand. Right. Indeed. Indeed. What is your immediate reaction?
What is
in-
the first thought that pops into your mind when you see a Confederate flag
Right.
on the back of a pickup truck?
Right. And Richard, I want you to know, want you to chime in too. Like, you kind of connected with what's happened over here. And what's your first thought? I want to know your thought. Everybody out there, what's your first thought when you see it? No reaction. You may be like, means nothing to me, or what correlations or how do you feel? Or if you meet somebody, let's do it better. If you meet somebody that's got it on their shirt, and let it be like a contract or business or friend, what's your first thought? Like, hey, this is my man, John. He got the big shirt with the Confederate, and some kind of saying, never forget. I don't know. So, what's your reaction? Like, are we cool? Can you sit down and eat and even ask or even have the conversation? Because for me, I'll be real. Like, if I seen like pastors like, hey, you already know. First thing I'm looking at his face and I'm looking at the shirt like, like this is what we're gonna do. Let's sit down. Like, for me, I would just have the conversation. I don't know if I would get just straight to the emotion, but I would have the conversation. Like, what is it? How do you feel? And then is it all right that I express what I see?
Are you telling me that you would actually confront the person?
But I said, yeah. If we sit down, yeah.
Oh, if you sit down.
Yeah, I mean, like if you introduce them or someone, my first thought is trick. But if we we're going, why racist? Woo. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, someone said, I think of the chant, the South will rise again.
Right. Okay, here we go. Okini said, I've had it where a former coworker had Adolf Hitler on his sweatshirt. A woman who was born in the Jewish concentration camps took offense to it. She went to HR about it. To him, it was just the shirt. To her, it was pain.
Yes.
Now that's in that sense as deep as okay. I don't see it. Sometimes I think racist. Other times I'm like really still, and sometimes because of the area I'm in, it's really the norm here. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm sure that with that thought, you're asking, why is this still a norm anywhere?
Right.
Yes. Someone said, I hear the South will rise again, and they say, rise to what? Someone says, in my mind, I hear the dueling banjos.
Right. Right.
But here's the thing. One person said, I feel, he said, I feel when I see a Confederate flag.
Right.
He said, my feeling when I see the Confederate flag on the back of a pickup truck is the same feeling when I see the American flag on a baseball cap or in a yard.
Right. I've heard that. Yeah.
Because in my mind, he says, in my mind, patriotism in America leads or is connected to racism.
Right.
He said, so whenever I see, he said to me, I'm at the point now to where there's no difference between seeing the American flag and seeing the Confederate flag.
Right.
Because people who fly these flags or display these flags have the same mindset. To be a patriot in America is to be right wing.
It feels like that. It definitely feels like that. Richard says, I understand that for you, brother, it means a whole lot different than for me. Appreciate that. He said, I'm a person who loves on people. It's like the War of the Roses, English Civil War in historical context, similar to American Civil War, South versus North. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Definitely not stopping for He said I'm not stopping for gas in that area.
Hey, in
Think about war.
1987, 88, I was driving a Ryder truck from Illinois to California. A yellow Ryder truck. And midnight on the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing,
Oh,
I was passing through Oklahoma
okay.
in a Ryder truck.
Wow.
Stopped at a truck stop, and a guy came up to me. He said, "Son, you best be out of here by morning
Wow.
in that Ryder truck."
Right. Wow.
He said, "Do you know what?" And instantly, it dawned on me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is
Right.
the anniversary." And so you think about triggers.
Right.
He said, "You better get out of here because seeing that truck
Right.
in Oklahoma
Right.
tomorrow
Right.
is going to be a problem for you."
Yeah. Yeah.
No one in Oklahoma is driving Ryder trucks. That's what it said.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. That's yeah. I could understand that. Right. You're already
Politicians were all off.
Right. Right. Especially if I lost anybody in it, directly, and it would be a trigger. That definitely will be a trigger. I think let's see, persons will say we need to get past it because it's not going on any longer. To some, yes, to some, no. It's all about the individual person. Indeed. I think let's see, brothers, I'm sorry if my oh no, you good, Richard? You good.
No, you good.
You good. Listen.
Your view is your view, Richard.
Right.
Because I'm wrong.
Right.
This is about expressing a position, a thought. Right. We're sharing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think, I'm sure there are things over there, like certain things that might set you off, that if you showed us, we've got no feelings about it. We're just like, oh, I remember that. We might have been taught it in history, and it might have been one page for us. For you it's a whole chapter. For us, it's just one page, and we just kind of, oh yeah, I remember that. We talked about that a little bit. Like I'm sure in some countries, oh yeah, there was slavery in America. Now, moving on, like for them it's like, oh yeah, that didn't affect us. That's not part of our country. So it's everybody has, something that might set them off, but I think, like I said, it's recognizing the triggers and responding accordingly. He said, I worked with a person who was in the Korean War. He was there during the height of the racism in this country, right? He was a black man who was able to serve his country, but still was asked to sit in the back. Needless to say, he said, forget the flag, forget that flag. His trigger was that he hated the flag of the so-called United States. I understand. Indeed. I think I've heard people say that, I've heard people say the Confederate American flag to them is all the same. And a lot of us, with the hearing the patriotism, you just like, it's hard to really feel patriotic. Sometimes it's like, man, I wish I could just celebrate like I see my counterparts do. Like, I wish I could be America. I struggle though. Like I struggle. Like I'm here. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm believe in whatever structure we're working with. Because, every country, there's no perfect country. There's no perfect place like, Pastor, we need to roll out and go to Uganda because it's better. Right. There is no perfect country, but it's just feeling apart, I think, is a struggle. But that's a whole nother conversation, just feeling apart. So, like I said, we're talking about the untriggered lifestyle and how to kind of shift your mindset into not being so explosively reactive or destructively reactive. And It's not always like a physical. It could be a verbal, and just like you said, some responses are triggered, and then it's like a domino effect. It just everything's affected. Nope, I'm not doing that anymore. Nope, I'm not going to church. Nope, I'm not doing. I'm not worshiping. I don't care, and I'm tired. I'm sick. It's doing it. See what I'm saying? I try to do good, then this happens, and I'm done. And you get into that space where it just sets off something. It reminds you of something. It reminds you of a behavior. It reminds you of a habit, and it's hard to recover, unless you realize this. Why am I letting this thing set me off? And I guess moving into that space, like why do I let this thing bother me and take me off track? And some of the untriggered or the triggers can be a foundation from unforgiveness as well. Certain people walk in the room or certain names come up, your whole day is shot. I can't believe he brought up John. I can't believe he brought that man name up. And it can throw you off completely. Okini said at the end of the day, certain groups of cultures will get triggered off the symbols or words seem that remind them of certain situations, right? Like 100%. I that was a huge one that you mentioned about seeing Adolf Hitler's face, and she literally came from the concentration camps. That's a tough one. Try going to Washington D.C. It puts you in a frame of mind, right, to keep your hands on your heart, right?
Right. Well, that's the thing. You're setting a mood. It's like having a romantic evening with someone that you love. You
Right.
turn the lights down low. You light a candle. You put some fragrance in the air, and
Right.
turn on the soft music.
Right.
You want to speak sweet nothings into each other's ear.
Right.
Right? But you put a strobe light in there. Somebody fire up a joint, and you put on some Tupac,
Right.
and everybody want to be a gangster.
Right. Right.
So I can understand, and at the same time, put on wake up in the morning and put on some gospel music. I mean, some hand clapping, foot stomping, and everybody gonna want to get saved.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's just the truth. And so, I'm going to go back to what Dr. Rollins said, and I'm going to put it this way, because you're talking about how do we get to an untriggered life.
Right.
I don't think you can ever live a life that does not have a trigger, because triggers work both positively and negatively.
Indeed.
Right. And so you want something to trigger good behavior, provoke one another unto good works, is what the Bible says.
Right.
So triggers are necessary in our lives, but when we talk about overcoming those negative triggers, those triggers that lead us down the negative path, I think it goes back to counting up the cost of the consequences of these things. Right. I know that if I do this, consider cause and effect. I know that there's a chance that if I put my hands on this person, one or two things are going to happen. I'm going to beat them down, and they're going to beat me down. Right. And then beyond that, someone might get arrested. Someone might lose a life. So let me be careful how I react to something. That's why I talk about the study between reaction and response.
Right.
In my mind, I feel like I want to be slower to react and focus on my response to something. Right. Mm-hmm. So counting up the cost, I think, is a major factor, and also making sure you understand what those triggers are. Right. But then go back to, like, I think we talked about this yesterday. I talked about the last time I was in this place, how it felt.
Yeah. There you
right.
Go.
And not wanting to feel like that again.
Right.
And I think sometimes we have to consider the consequences. Do I really want to, and this is part of counting up the cost, do I really want to face this type of consequence for this reaction? Right. And I think that goes back to something, I believe it was Deacon Rollins, John Rollins, that said, take that 2 to 3 second pause.
Yes.
Some of us, it used to be count to 10.
Yeah.
Some of us have to count to 100.
Right.
Before we can respond to something. So whatever you need to do to get yourself in a place where you don't react as quickly
Right.
That's the key. Let me really pause and think about what just happened. What did I just hear?
Right.
Did I hear that right? Maybe I should ask for clarity in that
Right.
last statement. Can you help me understand what you meant by that? Could you
Right.
repeat what you just said?
Right.
You know, what really transpired? Because I'm not really, how that came out may not be in agreement with how I'm processing it,
Right.
you know.
Definitely.
So it takes time to
It
get to a
does.
better place. But also developing a greater confidence in yourself.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you have to feed yourself more constructive information, more constructive content. So
Yes.
when something comes against you, it doesn't hit you as hard as it would have hit you if you were ignorant of information.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think that being informed, understanding who you are, and having the maturity or discipline to pause, before you respond or react. It's definitely a key to to responding in the most positive or healthy manner. And like you said, there are the positive triggers, moments that certain smells or certain music and certain things get you to a better space or a greater mindset. Like I just smelling certain things or hearing certain songs, like you said, takes you to a better place. But like, today I just, those things that take you to a space that you remember that were not the best or the healthiest. We have to, you remember that, and then it's recognizing what sends you down that path and being able to respond accordingly, or just counting down, like, I'm not going to lose it. I don't want to go back to jail. I don't want to go back to that space, because when you're that kind of like, me and Pastor kind of that the temperament where it takes a lot, but it's bad when we get there, and trying your best not to get to that space, and being able to act accordingly, because we all go through our phases and changes, and we've grown a lot, and in that growth, like you said, that 8-year-old trigger that someone has not stepped on yet, we have to be able to. So even if you don't know or don't realize all of your triggers, you recognize a certain phrase or phase or action takes you somewhere that, is not the best. It's recognizing those moments and pausing, like, okay, I'm holding myself like, okay, yeah, I don't really like that. Like I don't like how I'm feeling. I don't like feeling how I want to react. And I think the word, living the untriggered lifestyle is more living a disciplined lifestyle,
Yes.
being disciplined enough to know how to be more, was it the proactive instead of so reactive, and seeing the consequences of, if I do this, this is probably what's going to happen, but if I do this, I at least mitigate, the long-term effects of my action. So today I just want you guys to kind of think about the small things that may trigger you, and why does it trigger you, and bringing up the Confederate flag and American flag, even those moments, I drive Lyft from time to time, and I'm in the car with people who not like me and have opinions unlike me. And I've always conditioned myself, because the rides aren't long, and for the most part, you're not going to change anybody's mind. So I condition myself to have the full conversation, just so I can understand exactly where people stand. Like, I haven't had a chance to really talk to somebody with an opposite mindset, in a space that's temporary, and I just let them, and I'll inquire. Like, I'll tell you later some of the conversations, but I just inquire, and I just ask more questions Like, really? Why do you feel that way? You know, and sometimes you just like, when they so wrong, you just, Okini says, you also have to know the devil knows your triggers, right? Just close your eyes and pray. Be still, right?
Remember
And it will
that
pass.
the value that you assign to your life is
Yes.
yours.
Right.
No one else can assign. Well, they can assign it, but you don't have to receive it.
Right.
Right. But remember, the value of your future is what you make it.
Right.
So your reactions to things has to take into consideration the value not only of your future, but of your current time clock.
Yeah.
Right. What value do you place on your time?
Right.
Right. Remember that in life, my wife spoke this message, this encouraging word a couple of years ago, and she talked about the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer.
Right. Right.
Right. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
A thermostat lets you know. Is that right? Which one is it?
The thermometer lets you know the
Thermometer
temperature.
lets you know what the temperature of the room is. The thermometer.
Yes.
The thermostat has the power to adjust the temperature
Right. Yes.
in the room.
Definitely.
Right.
Yep.
And so what you cannot allow, sorry for messing that up, lady, is for someone
Yeah.
to become the thermostat
Yes.
of your life.
Right.
Don't allow other people to set your temperature
Right.
or adjust your temperature,
Right.
unless it's to a better place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
You should not allow other people to make you hot
Right.
under the collar. Right?
Right.
But make room for cooling.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
That's a
yeah.
word.
Yeah.
It's an old word, but it's still a relevant word.
Right.
Don't let people be the thermostat
Right.
of your day.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, setting or regulating, you know, how you feel.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Because when that happens, what happens to your imagination, to your creativity, when someone else controls your temperament?
Right. Right. You
You
can't.
lose it.
Yeah, you do. Makes you ineffective. You
Right.
become ineffective.
And when you lose imagination and creativity, you're
Right.
chopping away at your future,
Right.
because your imagination is your future. Isn't that what Les Brown said?
Probably. One of them. That sounds good though. I'm gonna just give that to you though.
Because the enemy wants to kill your imagination.
Yes.
So that he can kill your future.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Because when
So he'll bring these triggers in to stop
good.
you from being creative,
Yep.
to get you stuck. You know, and what you have to do is you have to surround yourself with people that will take you to a place within yourself that you
Right.
can't get to on your own. What am I saying? What I'm saying is you can't discuss the label on the box if you're stuck inside the box.
right.
So
Right.
get people around you that can deal with those places inside you, but they make you better,
That's good.
right?
Yep.
That's the reality, and that's where we begin to reduce what triggers us,
Yep.
because it's all about what you have around you,
Yep.
you know. And your future is way too valuable to be surrounded by people that trigger you into a negative place.
Exactly. Definitely.
Get those people that are going to help you
Yep.
discover you.
Right. So that's good. He said, get people around you that help you discover you. So when someone around you, he said, okay, he said, very true. So when someone around you says, yo, why does it when we talk about this, or when this person shows up, or when this happens, you get set off?
Right.
And listen, don't argue. I don't get set off. Yes, you do. Every time we bring this up, your face changes, your mood changes, and you don't want to be bothered anymore. This is a trigger. Why does this bother you so much? You know, and then, you know, Get quiet, examine yourself, because it's tough when someone kind of calls you out on your behavior or something in you, and think about why this thing bothers you so much. Because back in the day, either you and that person used to interact in a certain way, or something happened when you was at home. Every time we talk about politics, it would go, that's why my parents divorced. Just, okay, I'm not him. Let's have an honest conversation. It's fine. And they are honest and hold you accountable. Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I need y'all to hear this. Y'all want your circles, right? Everybody wants, Pastor, like, you always say you're the sum total of the 5 people that you're around. Everybody wants to upgrade their circle, to be around people that are successful, doing great things. Successful, great doing things people hold each other accountable. That's why they're able to move forward. So if you want to be held accountable, you could be around great circles. I'm going to say that again. If you want to be held accountable, you can be around great circles.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is that first time someone going to call you out on your stuff, you need to raise your hands, receive it, and just take that in, because that's what's going to make you better. That's what's going to make you greater. Everybody wants the secret to success. That success comes from accountability. Yes. Accountability, discipline, and understanding. Because a lot of people ruin, and Pastor said it, opportunities get ruined when you're triggered. You go into this negative space. Now you can't be creative. I can't even think. I can't even operate. Forget it. I'm done. And that's the space we get into. And think about if you trigger that way a whole lot, you're not really getting anything done, because you're always in a space of drama.
Yeah.
Drama. It's always some drama. Somebody calling you. Sometimes you're like, yo, I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Such as I said, I don't really care. I don't want to know. Because you're gonna tell me, and it's gonna mess my day up. We have to protect our space, right? We have to protect our space. We got to know, like you said, our value. We got to know our time. We have to protect who we are, and not going into the cutoff ministry, but just knowing who brings what. There are folks that you talk to, have the conversation, make sure they're straight, but they're gonna go down that drama path, and tell you who said this. Pastor was saying about you. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You know what sister such and such said? I don't care. I don't care. Long as they not having to live with me in this house or pay some bills, I don't care. I don't care. And because we get caught up. Telling you, anybody watching this right now feel like, man, how much of your day is filled up with senseless nonsense of drama? Somebody just calling,
right,
sharing stuff, just sharing. I just wanted to tell you, I don't want to know. I don't care. That's great. They don't like me. I'm fine. I don't care. I'm good. I can't do nothing about it. I'm just gonna be me. Unless they're calling me,
not going to like you anyway.
Right. Unless they're calling me to tell me I hurt their feelings and we're gonna have a conversation about it, there's nothing else I can do. Yeah. And yeah, you can't sit in that circle. Just those are the main triggers, man. And that's good, Pastor. When you said that, takes away from your imagination, your creativity, because you're off kilter, and you're angry and you're bothered, and it takes away from your life, from your family, just all that stuff.
Yes, and know that Sean talked about this, that accountability factor.
Right.
People that you surround yourself with. There is a distinctive difference between self-discovery and being labeled. Certain people will aid in the discovery of you, but other folks will just label you. There is a difference. There's a difference.
That's good.
And sometimes we are wounded by people we think are there to help us.
Right.
But they're really there to label us.
Right.
And as long as they can keep you in that box, they'll stay connected to you. You have to know the difference between someone that is working with you and helping you discover,
right,
versus someone who just puts you in a box and labels you.
Right.
There's a difference. Yeah, guard your ears, and
Literally.
remember that you have to live a life where you have to imagine gates on your ears.
Yes.
Close the gate
Okay.
with certain information.
Yes.
There's gates on your eyes.
Right.
Everything ain't for your viewing.
Yep. Yep.
There's a gate on your mouth.
Yep.
You don't have to speak to everything.
Right.
Ear gate, eye gate, mouth gate. Remember
Yep.
those things so that you
Right.
can live a protected life, a covered
Yes.
life. I had a brother, I had a wise man 30 years ago tell me, great man of God, great leader. He was retired, 20-year veteran from the Air Force, Cecil L. Chip Murray. I had a meeting with him, and that man, I was late for the meeting, and this is me trying to fight back. I had been homeless. I'm trying to get reestablished, get
Right.
control of my life, and I was triggered by tragedy. Right, I hated the tragedy of being broke.
Okay.
Right, and in this season of my life, I had walked off my job. The whole nother. This is a whole nother. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I had a whole lot going on.
Right.
I
Right.
went and I sat in this non-for-profit for this church,
Right.
and I was committed to just working there. And I had an appointment with the pastor of First AME Church, Cecil
Right.
Chip Murray.
Right.
And I was late. I was like 10 minutes late. And I went over there and I said, "I'm sorry I'm late, Pastor Murray." He said, "Listen here, man. As long as you black and your behind points to the ground, don't you ever be sorry about anything else another day in your life."
Right. Wow.
And I was like, and he just said, "But." Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
It shook me. My mother knows this story.
Yeah.
It shook me to my core because I didn't know whether to cry
Wow.
or to punch him or to turn around and walk away.
Right.
And I
Right.
felt offended. But what he was doing is he was holding me accountable.
Right.
And he was saying, you can be repentant,
Right.
but don't live a sorry life.
Right. Right. Right.
Don't
That's
live
good.
a life where you're always having to say, "I'm sorry."
Sorry,
If you're around
right.
people
Yeah.
and you find yourself saying, "I'm sorry" constantly,
Right.
you are sorry. And
Right.
you're around the wrong people. Don't live a sorry life. And when you recognize that's not the life that I'm supposed to live, fewer things will trigger you
Right.
because you'll be over it. And so
Right.
again, we're just talking about the things that keep you from being so easily
Right.
triggered.
Yes.
You're easily triggered when
Right.
you're living a sorry life.
Right.
Don't live a
Indeed.
sorry life.
Don't live a sorry life. All right, guys, we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Again, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. And if you've missed any episode, or if you just want to share the audio version, go to your podcast, any podcast app I'm sure you got, Apple, Google, Spotify, and share the Brothers of Legacy podcast with them. All right. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thankful Thursday. And thank you guys for being here. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Always know we love you. God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, and we will see you in the AM. Peace out. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe.